All right, to another top story today. Former President Jacob Zuma wants an environment to be created at the State Capture Commission that could enable him to testify. Zuma's legal team has asked Justice Raymond Zondo to recuse himself, claiming that he's conflicted. But in his opening remarks, Zondo rejected Zuma's claims that he is biased against him because of a past history. He said he and Zuma had a cordial relations, that they were not friends, as Zuma had claimed. Bulelwa Mabasa, who is a director at WerksMans Attorney, joins me now live. A very good evening to you, Bulelwa. Thanks indeed for your time. But before we come to you, the proceedings started today with Justice Zondo basically stating up front that he and the former president were not friends. Let's take a listen to this clip.
The statement reads, personal relationship between myself and Mr. Zuma. 1. It is true that Mr. Zuma and I have known each other from the early 1990s when I was still in private practice as a lawyer in Durban, and Mr. Zuma was one of the leaders of the African National Congress in KwaZulu-Natal. My interactions with Mr. Zuma from the early 1990s to the time of my appointment as a judge in 1997 were connected with my work as an attorney and my association with the ANC, of which I was a supporter. 2. After my appointment as a judge in 1997, my interactions with Mr. Zuma were of a personal nature and largely occurred when we met in government functions. Our personal relationship has been a cordial and pleasant one over the years.
Well, let's bring in Bulelwa Mabasa now, who's the director at WerksMans Attorney. Thank you very much indeed for your time this evening, Bulelwa. To start off the proceedings, clearly the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo wanting to clear the air that the insinuation that he had a close relationship with the former President Jacob Zuma was not true.
Yes, absolutely. And Griselda, that was a very important move in the sense that the test for bias is not whether you know someone, whether you have a personal relationship that is placed on judicial officers or judges. Our law recognizes that our judges and people that sit on the bench to make these decisions don't fall from the sky. They're not separate from society, that they have political persuasions, that they have had experience. They've worked for many years before joining the bench. So it is not enough to make the allegation that just because you claim to have a personal relationship with a person, that alone is grounds to show actual bias that would entail the Judge Zondo from having to, or rather the chairperson, the Deputy Judge President from recusing himself.
Yeah, a key to their argument today was, the insinuation by advocates Kakane, basically saying that the former president believed that the Deputy Chief Justice had treated witnesses like Godin, Jonas and Hogan with certain difference. Let's take a listen to this clip first.
How this thing was established, it was not thought through. It was politically motivated in the thinking. And the challenges you and me face now are challenges caused by the fact that those who thought about this, thought about sinking Mr. Zuma and nothing else. And I think if we get those out of the way, one of the things to be done for a process like this, like we would in a court, if we are responsible, is to say, maybe in some respects, Chair, I'm correct in my grounds. And maybe in some respects, I'm not so correct. Could we collapse this commission simply because it's a draw between you and me?
Bulelwa, and with talk of not wanting to collapse the commission, one of the other statements that was also shared by advocates Kakane was that they did not want an instance where if the appropriate environment was not created for the former president, he would then possibly even reserve his right to say nothing if he was forced then to testify. What kind of conundrum does this create for the State Capture Commission of Inquiry?
Look, it's actually an objective test. The test of whether or not allegations or accusations that warrant a recusal are in fact valid. You don't just kind of make the wild allegations. One important factor to take into account is that you have to look at when the commission was established, who established the commission, and the information that is now being touted as the reasons to possibly collapse the commission. Were those facts available to former President Zuma? In other words, you don't accuse a presiding officer in these proceedings of bias only once the proceedings have taken place. I'm not sure how long the state capture inquiry has been going on for, but we know that it's been significant number of months. And in fact, the appointment of the deputy judge president himself was by President Zuma. So when President Zuma appointed the deputy judge president, he would have had all these facts at his disposal. And the fact that the complaints around bias and collapsing the commission come at a point where, he's evaded or avoided, if you like, appearing before the State Capture Commission, I don't think looks very favorably to the former president.
Yeah. Bulelwa, thank you very much indeed for your time this evening. Bulelwa Mabasa, Director at WerksMans Attorneys. Thanks indeed for your time once again. We take a short break here on The Full View. When we come back, we'll talk SABC retrenchments.